So, hi guys, so another day, another dollar, another out and about with the camera. So, as you know, for quite a long time I've been using some of these big Sony lenses, two in effect, one being the Sony 200-600, which gave me a load of problems, and I know a lot of people out there have had a similar situation. I kind of ditched it, I got rid of it, sent it back to the shop. They basically gave me a refund minus a bit, but they were very good. They did me quite a good deal. And then I purchased a really stupid price, a 100-400 G Master, and I actually prefer this lens. Totally different sort of lens. Obviously a little bit faster, as in aperture speed, but I like the compact size of it compared to the 200-600, which was sort of this sort of size. It was kind of about thinking about, you know, is it going to fit in the bag today? Should I really take it with me? Blah blah. This just fits in the bag all the time. Brilliant. And I've also got the 2x converter for it as well, which, yeah, it stops you down to f11, but it actually works really quite well. So the last couple of weeks I started getting really annoyed because, again, autofocus wasn't really sort of doing its thing. It seemed to be getting more hesitant. It seemed to be just being silly. So I've spoken to Sony again, said, you know, it's even happening on my 100-400 G Master, and basically, you know, what do we do? And they said, well, you know, it's got to go for repair then, hasn't it? And I said, well, yeah, okay. I wanted to, before I send it in, but I really want to actually use it as much as I possibly can in certain situations, as in birds in flight, you know, long distance stuff, the moon, for example, and, you know, just make sure that it's not, you know, it's not just me being an idiot and having the wrong settings, because, you know, the last thing I want to do is lose the camera for a little while and then tell me, well, you're using this, you're using that, you're doing it wrong. You know, just to, you know, if anything, helps other people, not just myself, but if it helps you guys to find out there's actually something wrong with the camera, you know, down the line, you know, this and that. So I've held off for the moment sending it in. I've got all the forms, I've got all the paperwork and everything, the number and everything to send it to, the address. It's under warranty anyway, so I've got plenty of time to get the camera dealt with. But I've been out for the last week, snapping away, birds in flight, in good weather. Today the weather was dull, horrible. It's actually rained because the lens is now wet. But, you know, one thing, gentleman, I can't remember your name, very sorry, without looking, he said, go into the menus, go back to the settings, and I'll put instructions how to do this, and reset the camera. So there's two things you can do. One, you can actually reset the sensor and the shutter by basically changing the time and the date on the camera, and it will just force it to shut the shutter. You feel the camera wobble around a little bit, and then it opens and it's fine. That basically does a sensor check, I think, of some sort. So it does recalibrate a few things, I believe, going by what Sony told me. The other way of doing it fully is actually go to reset in the menus, which is in the toolbox somewhere. You just go reset, go in there, and it says reinitialize. And the gentleman on my channel said it actually fixed his camera. He said, I've had any trouble since, and I thought, okay, maybe that's worth a while. Before I send it away, just do a reset. You have to reset your whole camera up, so it's worth doing the backup of your settings onto your card and save them onto a computer somewhere, so you've got your settings saved, and then you can reload them on. Or doing what I did, I just reset it because I didn't really know what was going to happen. I just reset it manually. Resetting it manually, I've then had to reprogram all the buttons that I'd had in use, but actually what I've done is I've actually updated a few and actually had a few different ones now, so I've got a slightly better setup than I had before. And then I've gone back through the menus and changed a few of the setups and just tried it. And it seems to be locking onto the birds much, much better. I have to get it in my brain that now we've seen things like the A1 doing stupid things, you know, with the autofocus. The a7R4 is not an A1. And as much as I'd love it to be an A1, the autofocus isn't as fast. So, you know, it is going to miss. You know, it is going to miss shots as things come closer to you if they're going very fast. But the hit rate has suddenly jumped from being pretty horrendous to, you know, very acceptable. I've been out today, it was even tracking a bird that I could hardly see, a seagull actually in the sky, and I'll actually put the photos up, you know, full frame before I crop in on it and show you. And I couldn't believe it was actually locking on because I could hardly see it. It was using one focus dot and it was just tracking this bird. And I thought, do you know what, if it's doing that, you know, with ease, you know, is there anything wrong with this now? You know, and after I've done that reinitialization. So I'm going to use it for another week. I'm going to get out as much as I possibly can and just test this thing as much as I can to get back to you guys. But I would suggest if you have any issues with your big lenses, so the 200, 600 or 100, 400 G Master, and there's a few people saying like on the A6400 they're getting a similar issue. One, I've definitely learned that you need to have a much faster shutter speed than you would do if you have got a 24 megapixel sensor. Because just pixels basically. You know, so I'm at 1/2000 upwards. So 1/2000, 1/3200, 1/4000 or more to get really sharp birds in flight kind of shots. Two, utilise the, if you know you're going to be panning, swap it on this lens anyway, the G Master, onto number 2 on the stabilisation, on the mode, sorry, that basically allows you to, it helps with your panning and stuff. Seems to work pretty well on 1 and 2 anyway, so that's quite good. I've been utilising tracking a bit more, and also just on wide zone, and just going through all the different focus setups, and just messing around with it, just trying to not fool it, but you know, this and the other. One thing I do notice sometimes, you hold your finger down on the shutter button just to focus, and it just doesn't really do anything. It feels like there's almost a bit of lag going on, and sometimes it will, you know, move subjects or not. Sometimes it just, I don't know, it's almost like a dead zone of something not really happening. So that's one thing I've kind of noticed over the last week. Generally it's very snappy onto the subjects, it's locking onto birds, no problem at all. I autofocus on some of the birds as well, which is great. You know, especially if they're closer, obviously that's more helpful if they're closer, so your depth of field is right. Obviously shallower, and obviously get the eye rather than the beak or something. But yeah, I mean, shooting up at high ISO as well. So today, where the weather has been terrible, to get 1/2000th of a second, I've been up at ISO 2000. So that's not really an issue in light. It's not bad at all. And we have got denoise programs, so we can just push a bit of denoise in there to get rid of any pixelation, you know, noise, grain or whatever. Is a really handy feature. But yeah, the camera is working definitely better. And I've also changed a few things. I've actually watched a couple of the A7R4 setup videos on YouTube, and there's a couple of settings I have changed and I have tweaked today just to see what the difference was, and it seems to be a bit snappier, a little bit quicker, and it seems to just be doing a better job. So, you know, there's a lot of things involved there, especially when you don't really know what half the things mean. You know, they might not really give you much of a description even in the manual or anything like that. So, you know, it's definitely set up pretty well at the moment. So I will do my setup a bit like I did with the RX10 Mark IV. I will go through the menus and show you how I've set it up. You can set it up as you want, but for me this is working quite well at the moment. Hopefully I'm going to get it back out tomorrow. So this is just a short video today of me just talking, and I'll show you some photos and setups as well briefly, and then I'll be back with some more as we do more images. So yeah, it's just needs some weather, nice weather. It's been cloudy and rubbish, but at the end of the day, if it's still focusing well in rubbish light compared to like a really nice sunny day, that's proof in the pudding that it's doing quite well. So I'm hoping on a better, sunnier day that the hit rate's going to be even better. I've already had pretty good success before. I've now changed a few settings, so I want to go back out in those same sort of situations and see if it's any better. You know, so that's one thing to take in consideration, your light situation obviously. Not if it's daytime or nighttime, but more the fact that if it's really overcast, which it is today, the light just isn't there. You know, we haven't got the nice sunshine, and that makes all the difference at the end of the day. But it's still usable. Like I said, we can still get away with utilising higher ISOs. If you can put it through Photoshop and mess around anyway, you know, with the settings or whatever, it's not really a problem. It's the same with the RX10 Mark IV. Obviously, I'm pretty well known for the RX10 Mark IV because I've used it so much, and you know, having people ask me questions, which I'm always happy to help, even with the A7R4. If anybody's got any issues with anything, feel free to comment below or ask questions. Always happy to help as much as I possibly can, because I know the frustration sometimes. You know, we can't get something right, and we're like, why? You know, and this is what was bugging me massively to do with the 200 or 600. It's something that just wouldn't do something. I'm thinking, what is going on? You know, is it me, or is it the kit? You know, I'm far from perfect. I don't know everything. You know, I'm far from perfect. You know, and sometimes I get things wrong. So was it me? Did I have the wrong focus setting? Did I not react quick enough, or did I move, or did, you know, whatever. You know, and I think that's a huge thing. Sometimes it is us, but then when you're getting multiple shots and you're thinking, shooting 1/4000th of a second, not really panning on the bird's just sort of flying diagonally towards me, so I'm not really moving that much, and it's totally out of focus. What's going on? You know, and that was the issue. You know, on the perch, you could, some of the shots I've taken, you know, it was absolutely banging. You know, it was super sharp. I was thinking, right, okay, is this me? What's going on? So it just didn't make sense, and that's why I put the other videos out there. After hearing other people say exactly the same sort of thing, I'm thinking, right, there's definitely an issue then. But you know, Sony is a large company. I'm not necessarily going to recall a load of cameras because there's a problem. If they can put a firmware update out that may fix stuff, it could be that. But or, you know, is there a number of A7R4s out there? Sorry, pardon me, that have a dodgy sensor? You know, the focusing part, you know, is there an issue? Especially when you get to the big zoomed in lenses, you know, it's not necessarily bad for the wide angles because there's less of an issue. But when you start pushing, you know, into the massive magnification side of things, you know, 600mm, 1 to 400, 600, whatever, you know, is there an issue? But then when people are saying they're not getting a problem with the 600mm f4, but they're getting the same problem that I would experience with the 200 600, you're thinking, right, is it the lens or is it the camera? And we're thinking, okay. And that's the reason I sold the lens. Originally Sony were basically saying send the camera and the lens in and we'll get it looked at. And I was thinking, well, at the moment I'm trying to earn money with the camera. How can I? And they wouldn't lend me a unit, which is really a bit annoying. I have got insurance and I could have claimed through that probably, but again, you just don't really want to sort of, you know, it's one of those other things, another conversation, isn't it, about insurance. But I was thinking, right, okay, so I didn't. I just got rid of it. I got fed up with it. I sort of lost my rattle, threw my rattle out of the pram kind of thing, and that was it. And I thought, stuff it. I'll go back to the RX10 Mark IV for wildlife shots. It's been reliable, it's compact, it's not particularly heavy, and that's where the 200 600 was a little bit bulky. And like I say, one evening I was looking on my local camera shops that I use, not local, but UK camera shops that I use, and there's a few open boxes come up every now and again where someone's bought it, taken it home, didn't get on with it, and sent it back within a couple of weeks. So pretty much new. You know, you still get the 12-month warranty, but you can save hundreds sometimes. And this lens was about 800 quid off in total by the time, because I had a voucher as well and things. So even though it wasn't, I still had money towards it that I didn't really have to pay for. So absolute bargain of a lens, and it's honestly, it's brilliant. So yeah, anyway, I could chat for ages, but basically have a look at the pictures along the video now, and you'll see some that are taken up to ISO 3200 and from quite a long way away, and even the focusing is locking onto that, so even when I crop in you can see the detail. Some of the birds on perch, some birds in flight. See what you think. Am I just being pernickety? What do you reckon? Like I say, I'm going to go back out this week and into next week, give it another real big test. You know, I'm probably going to take 20,000 shots in the next week or so to try and see, you know, by utilising tracking focus a bit more rather than just having a wide AFC, for example, or having it in the zone, or, you know, all these different setups you can have. And I've adjusted like the response the response speed on the tracking, and, you know, all that sort of stuff as well. So, but good news, it's kind of looking pretty positive. So after that reinitialisation, like I said, go in there and do that and see what your camera does. If it improves it, it's a good thing. If it doesn't, we definitely know there's an issue. Unfortunately, obviously, I don't have a 200 or 600 now to use. Nick does, which I will be going to see at some point once we're allowed to travel a bit further. He's a bit away, but we are going to meet up at some point. I do want to try it and see what's what and see if there's any improvements, but we shall see. Other than that, take care, guys. Keep take pictures, which is obviously a good thing. Certainly helped me through this whole lockdown thing, keeping my mind active, and hopefully doing some random videos and me talking crap on camera is something that keeps you entertained, if anything. Yeah, so don't forget to click the subscribe button as usual. Thumbs up as well if you like the video. Like I say, any comments below, and click the little notification bell as well if you're new. And I shall see you soon. Right guys, so obviously that's just me blabbering on, but I will put up another video about the settings that I've used and how to reset the camera. Be the next video coming. These are a few shots that I've actually managed to capture with the a7R4 and the 100-400, either with or without the 2x converter on. And yeah, I couldn't do this before, not very well anyway, and I don't think it was me. I do actually think it was the camera. And you know, Tony obviously saying about doing a reinitialization of it, resetting the camera back to basically factory settings and it recalibrating itself or whatever it does, has obviously made a difference, because I was honestly not getting shots like this. These are cropped in quite heavily, a lot of these shots, so obviously, you know, but they're all pretty sharp. Some are not perfect, some have focused either maybe on a wing or, you know, not necessarily the head. But, you know, I'm pretty impressed with the fact that, you know, these birds are sort of doing anywhere between 30 and 50 miles an hour, I would say. So the fact that I'm actually panning with them, or they're coming straight at me, or straight at me and slightly past me kind of thing to one side. Yeah. But I've upped my shutter speeds now, anywhere 1/2000th of a second upwards, really. You'll see some slower ones in a minute and you'll see the difference. But obviously light really makes a difference. So a sunny-ish day, even though this was a cloudy day, the sun was still coming and going. You know, it still allowed me to get shots like this, which are, I think, highly acceptable. You know, maybe not the best of the world, best of the best or whatever, but, you know, that's pretty good. I mean, like I say, these are cropping in quite heavily. They're not actually that close to me. So, you know, that's another downside. But, you know, he flew straight over me, this one. You know, so pretty pleased, really. It's definitely done something. The camera seems to be working better. Honestly, I could put up hundreds of shots of slightly out of focus seagulls, because that's what I've been shooting, trying to get this thing to work properly. This bird darting around. Some of these are really quick, and you know, it really just has transformed it. So I recommend, it doesn't matter which lens you're using, or if you are having some problems with autofocus, I would take your camera back to factory settings for the first things we do. Maybe we should have done this ages ago, but something I wasn't told about really, and maybe after the firmware update or something that was previously, it has fixed the issues, but you had to possibly reset the camera fully. This shot here was quite cool because it was tracking the I think it's a rook, and you could see the family. They were just walking, they were out of focus, they stayed out of focus, and it just tracked the bird. So that was a good little test. This shot here is the same animal flying up now, coming closer and closer. This is 100%. So yeah, pretty happy considering the light wasn't all that great at that moment in time, and it's a dark bird. Yeah, pretty impressed really. Some other ones here, you know, sharp is pretty good. I mean, these are cropped in quite heavily, so they were quite small in frame, within reason, some of the shots. So like this one here, but also not just the center of the frame, it was tracking to the edges, and you'll see a couple of shots later that are really at the edge, and I was quite surprised. Like this shot here, I actually went past him. I actually panned too quickly, and as I slowed down a bit, he came back into frame and it had him. So that was quite good. Different one there going the other way. Not that exciting shots, I know that, but this is more the fact that I'm trying to get my head around everything and hopefully get everything back to how it should be. This shot here, pretty impressed, to be fair. It's not perfectly sharp. That was at 1/800th of a second today, and that was a case of camera looking down on the ground, picked up, aimed, shot, and I was impressed how it quickly picked up on it. And I only had a small window of opportunity to get him as well between two trees. And another rook there. As you can see there, it's absolutely fine. These are 1/1000th of a second, so it could have been sharper by having a faster shutter speed, but I'm now pushing my ISO up to 2500, 3200 kind of area. As you can see here, white sky, it's just blah, blah. It was just a horrible day. Chucking down with rain about
15 minutes into it as well, which isn't great. Another shot here, not too bad, but you'll see in a second. This one is actually, it focuses on his wing, on his furthest wing. So actually looking, you think, oh, it's not actually in focus, but when you look at his wing, and it is. This one here has actually stayed on his face. Not too bad, but as you can see, ISO 3200. It's not brilliant. I haven't done anything to these images at all. They're just literally straight out the camera and just left them as is, so you can kind of see the real effect of shooting really high ISO on really bad conditions. Yeah, so, but you know, I could not get shots like this before. This is what I'm saying. There's something definitely going on that either a firmware update has affected it in the long run, and I've had to reset the camera back to factory settings as such. There you go. This is the shot here. So that wing is in focus. The left hand, furthest part of the wing, is in focus, and the rest of it is slightly soft. This shot here, not too great, but as you say, he's getting further away. You know, so, but it was just, I was just impressed on how actually well it's doing. This shot here is actually nuts. So this is actually the whole photo. So I've just shown you the whole image there. I haven't done anything to the shot, and this is how it was still tracking down there. And yeah, I was quite blown away by that actually. And those are things that are going quick, really quick. They appeared and then they were sort of diving down again, and I was like, oh. And then these birds are probably, I'm going to say, at least 200 meters away. I've cropped in quite heavily there. They were quite small in the frame. So starting taking off there. So it can do it. And, you know, I think finally getting somewhere that possibly my camera is actually okay now. But I think if you have got any issues, I would really recommend just trying this reinitialization. And like I said, I'm going to do another video today of just showing you how it's done. It's very simple. And then I'll do my settings as well. And I'll show you what settings I've actually changed. And it seems to be pretty good. So I'm going to carry on the whole of this next week, into next week, messing around, experimenting to try and make sure I'm happy. If I'm not happy, the camera will go in for an examination, actually see if there is anything wrong with it. But at the moment, it is generating pretty good images. So I'm pretty impressed with that. So anyway, guys, like I said before, please click the notification bell and the subscribe button so you know when I upload a new video. And obviously, there's going to be some more of this sort of thing coming along. Please share the video with your mates, any other photographers or whatever. Hopefully, get some more subscribers because that all helps. And I shall see you sometime soon. And like I say, keep an eye out for the next video, which should come later today, about the resetting of the camera and also just the settings I've kind of put in that seem to be working for me. So if anybody has got a 200 or 600 out there, if you could possibly try it out and see what you think. If it is working, we could be onto a winner. If it's not, it'd be interesting to find out. And if you could leave some comments below, that'd be awesome. And hopefully we can work this out. But it is a little bit annoying still, but hopefully we're getting somewhere. Anyway, I shall see you soon.